Good evening. Welcome to the Pearl Report. I'm Diana Lin. Hong Kong's art scene is booming, but outside commercial galleries and museums, another art form is thriving as well: activist art. As producer Renata Reyes reports, the artist, as activist or vice versa, uses art as a mode of resistance to all that's ill in Hong Kong.
My name is Casey Wong. I'm a visual artist. This is a candle that looks like a hanging noose. You can kill people with this or suicide. It's quite horrible form. But when you turn it into a candle like this, and it becomes something else. Lights represent hope, and the fire from the candle will slowly melt away this form of violence. This one is only $1,800. That's not expensive in contemporary visual arts. Just go to Art Basel and check out the lowest price. And if you can find somebody lower than $2,000, I buy you lunch. Okay. Yeah, this is so cheap. Because I want people to own it. Actually, I was an architect first, and then later on I became kind of bored by the profession and became an artist. I'm trying to push the envelope of what art, or where art can be. Traditionally, art gotta be inside gallery space, such as government-run museums or a private gallery. Also, it's very abstract. And then I realized quickly, being an artist is not just about making beautiful things. It's really about creative work that reflects about the current conditions. In the beginning, I was into social issues like homelessness in Hong Kong or housing. Ai Weiwei's arrest back in 2011, and that really a wake-up call for me.
Ai Weiwei is a mainland artist. He exposed official corruption following the 2008 Sichuan earthquake. Thousands of buildings collapsed, including schools that were said to be poorly built. Of the 70,000 killed, 5,000 were pupils.
He tried to find out how many children was killed during that incident. And as an artist, I think that's an amazing work. When I find out he finally got kidnapped by the government, suddenly dawned on me, it can happen to anybody in Hong Kong.
In 2016, 5 booksellers were detained on the mainland. Their Hong Kong shop had published books about leaders in Beijing. Many believe some of them were abducted by mainland agents.
I don't feel safe in Hong Kong anymore. Ever since the booksellers incident, there's nowhere to hide. So what do? I tie myself to a lamppost in Soho for a few hours. I dress up like a man of literature with a hat and white shirt and a pen in the pocket, holding a sign saying everything is fine. But my mouth was taped. They just come up to me and ask, how are you? Are you really okay? It's like, I can't say anything. Obviously, everything is not fine.
Casey is many things. He's a teacher, he's a trained architect, he's a self-promoter, but you need all that. If you're going to push an agenda, then you need to have a bit of bravado and a bit of showmanship. I think he's very good at that.
Do you see this art form growing in Hong Kong?
It's already thriving if you are comparing to 20 years ago. For example, let's say 20 years, 30 years ago in Hong Kong, it's mostly only decorative art.
Artists has been using performance as a tool of resistance.
Wen Yao, artist and researcher whose doctoral thesis is about performance art and activism in post-colonial Hong Kong.
We used to be very apolitical or very indifferent to politics.
For her, 1989 was a turning point for local artists.
During the student movement in Beijing, a lot of artists in Hong Kong has been using performance as a way to express our concern about democracy in Hong Kong, because at that time we know that Hong Kong will become part of China. Afterwards, I will see artists actually started to take part in social movements. Before and after 1997, also a lot of artists has been using performances in public space to express our anxiety at the time. 2003 is another benchmark because 500,000 people were marching in the street. A lot of very creative pops created by artists or even ordinary people.
Over the next decade, activist art took on various issues in some of the biggest battlegrounds in the city. For heritage preservation, Star Ferry, Queen's Pier. Use of public space, Times Square. Democracy, the umbrella movement.
During the umbrella movement, there was an explosion of creativities unprecedented in Hong Kong.
Oscar Ho is a veteran artist.
One of the more iconic artworks.
This one, the symbol of a yellow umbrella. There's a story behind it. This paper umbrella was designed by a high school kid. Later on, people learn how to do it. It's everywhere. It's also a good example of political art. It's not done by one single individual, but by the community. And people don't care about whether this is art or not. And this is the most lovely form of art. You can feel that when you see the artwork, an expression of some really, really strong desire for democracy. The artwork is important record and documentation of this movement for democracy. But no one owns it. Before the police moved in, the art community identified the various artwork. They have a huge team of nearly 100 people. So as soon as the police moved in, they rescued the artwork. 5 months after the occurrence of the occupied zone, we organized a festival with 6 exhibitions.
Thousands of art pieces are now stored in a secret location to protect them. The biggest challenge is preserving them.
It does require a very professional space with humidity and temperature control. Most of the work can still be preserved, but it's very expensive. And it's only a formal museum like M+ can do it.
The M+ Museum is scheduled to open in 2019 in West Kowloon.
M+ was intended to collect popular culture, local culture. So it's almost like art that's made for M+. I'm amazed that M+ didn't come out and collect them right away. If I were the director, I'll be holding an exhibition of arts of the umbrella movement already. I would really doubt that the board will have the guts to let this happen.
You being a government-funded museum, would that be too hard, too sensitive for you to handle?
I don't believe so. If it becomes a matter of curatorial concern or that we feel fits in with the rest of our programming, then it's something that we would definitely consider.
Tina Pang says there are ethical issues in exhibiting umbrella movement artworks in M+.
Many of these things are created not with the intention of being shown in an institution. They were often created, in the case of Occupy, with a very specific site and with the idea that they're not going to have a lifespan beyond a movement. When you place them inside a museum, it creates a kind of artificial context for the work. So that's a huge ethical concern. Sometimes we're dealing with anonymous makers.
要揾一個好瘦嘅人先可以着到。
Ao Yong-tung, an activist artist and organizer of this exhibition. These clothes are made out of materials from a market in Sham Shui Po, about to be demolished by the government. The Yanqiao Street Hawker Bazaar. Au Yong-tung's mission, support the vendors and save this site.
This is not just about demolishing the site to make way for redevelopment. It concerns the culture of the whole of Hong Kong. Many craftsmen buy raw materials there. As an artist who cares about Hong Kong culture, I cannot ignore this.
I have been working here for more than 25 years already.
Her shop is the go-to place for student designers and fashion makers.
What I sell, a little bit fabric, and then mainly the buttons, the zippers.
The site will be used to build public housing. Vendors are being offered $15,000 to move to a new site, $60,000 if they end their business.
The customers know where we are. We insist to stay here.
With a little help from the people championing their cause.
They sacrifice a lot in order to help us.
For Au Yong-tung, that involves organizing this exhibition plus performances. Playback theater is about the audience telling their story and the artist enacting it.
One guy is an advertisement designer. If this market collapses, there is a big problem for him.
This one is a catwalk show.
When more people learn about this issue, there'll be more social pressure. And in the case of the fabric market, more leverage in negotiations.
Coming up after the break, why critics say activism, not art, saves the day.
It needs group action to bring about social change.
Art of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Social engaged art also often is produced collectively to make their voice heard.
Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Pearl Report. Many alternative art space and collectives have opened up in Hong Kong. Renata Reyes looks at one couple's crusade to nurture activist art and why critics say activism, not art, brings about social change.
CNG Apartment in Mongkok. The initials stand for Clara and Gum, the founders of this art space.
We started this space in 2007 to invite local artists to join in order to respond to the basically current social, political issues in town.
One whole decade this year, 30 exhibitions for 70 artists. One mission, provide a platform to nurture activist art.
There was one show called Sick Leave, from a Cantonese slang. 得閒死唔得閒病 means we have the time to die but not having the time to get sick. It is related to the whole really stressful environment of Hong Kong.
Clara and Gum first burst onto the art scene in this now iconic performance. The couple in traditional Chinese wedding outfits during the July 1st, 2004 annual march. The same day they got engaged. They now have 2 girls.
Back then, the styles during the demonstrations was still quite quiet. Basically, people would hold banners and just walk without a lot of singing, for example, or other kind of activities. After 2004, because we didn't see much change from the government policy, so we continued to walk. Every year, we had different props or different kinds of performance.
Gum paints, performs, draws self-portraits, and makes installation art. He curates exhibitions as well, the earliest for an art commune in 2002.
Artist Commune is a charity art organization. It needs to apply funding every year.
To the Arts Development Council.
Sometimes we will get the feedback from the art assessor They will say, if you do art, why you keep talking about political issue? We keep heard about that kind of comment. There's one critical year in 2002. I heard some committee in the Arts Council. They told us, hey, your organization may have no funding for the next year, but they don't tell any reason. It's quite ridiculous. If you do art, you cannot leave political issue alone. If I want to criticize society and the government, it's better to keep ourselves independent. That's why we set up CNG Art Department. We told some artist friends we want to set up an art space. They'll say, oh, you need to take a very high risk. You can't sustain for 2 years. Actually, we want to make an example for younger artists. We want to do something without grant to sustain our own space.
CNG Art Department is not a commercial gallery. We don't resist to sell, but then we don't make exhibitions for selling.
The couple sustains its gallery by teaching art, selling books, and doing freelance jobs.
Clara and Gum are probably the most pure of all the artists in Hong Kong because they have a very almost poignant approach to what they do, which is they have a little studio in a Tong Lao. They're not particularly interested in the hype or making money. They just do what they do.
But can activist art bring about social change?
Do you want immediate change? Neither art or any kind of demonstration can give immediate change.
Artwork change people's mind very slowly.
Art has to be humble about what it can and cannot achieve.
John Batten, curator, writer, and art critic.
We're outside the old police barrack quarters, now called PMQ. This was built in 1950. This was the site of the old Queen's College, which was bombed during the Second World War.
A former gallery owner, he organized a series of art exhibitions to help save PMQ from being demolished to make way for 2 tower blocks. But what saved PMQ, he says, is not art, but old-fashioned activism.
We built up a mailing list. It was the start of a very dedicated campaign, which included 2 town planning board applications, meetings with lots and lots of people, media coverage, and one of them, it was during the chief executive election, and Alan Leung was standing as a candidate. It took about 3 years to get the government to change its mind. In the end, the development minister then, Carrie Lam, met us and said, okay, we will preserve it. There was art put up when Star Ferry was demolished. Any kind of art that was done on those days or weeks failed. We all failed. It got demolished. Queen's Pier was slightly different. The activists, they stayed there. They were there for months. Artists did things on the site. And then the government said, okay, we will keep the structure. We'll put it in storage and we'll bring it back. The activism of staying there and negotiations that Carrie Lam made with the activists was the real reason that was kept. The government changed its mind.
A 5-ton, 12-meter-long metal megaphone, the biggest ever karaoke system to be built in the city. The sculpture falls under another alternative art form, now making a lot of noise in the city, socially engaged art.
The term is recent, the actual practice is not. People in the 1920s would be doing cultural activism, but it wasn't called social engaged art, it would be called revolutionary art. So when you sing, it broadcasts to the neighborhood.
Artist Bo Jiang built this megaphone in Tsim Sha Tsui.
I started this project called Sing for Her in 2013.
Bo enlisted Filipino domestic helpers to record their traditional song. And later included Indonesian maids. Mainland migrants, Nepalese residents, and African asylum seekers.
You see minority groups, but you don't hear their voice. They are on the margins. They need to merge into the mainstream. I wanted to make a project to make their voice heard.
Literally, plus entice Hong Kong people to sing their songs along.
Social engaged art also often is produced collectively, not as a single individual, but as a team of explicitly political work. Activist art tends to be more antagonistic. The form can be more militant. Socially engaged art tends to be a bit softer. These projects are really public service. So the project in Tsim Sha Tsui is commissioned by the Museum of Art. So it's supported by public funding.
Traditional wooden chair. You can see we don't use nail or screw.
Him Lo does socially engaged art too, but without government grants. This is a carpentry workshop he opened in 2004 in To Kwa Wan. He hires retired craftsmen to teach their skills to the next generation.
Mr. Long is our master here, and he is now 84 years old.
I was a carpenter for over 40 years. Started learning in my teens. I retired over 10 years ago.
Not too many old carpenters can get on well with young people, but he let young people feel very comfortable to talk with him.
In the last 3 years, around 5,000 students joined the workshop. A 3-month course cost $1,200 and 4 lessons, $800.
Around 2 years ago, just came here suddenly and then to tell him I want to learn the carpentry, old carpentry. They are very serious and will blame you for all the things you did wrong. And then he's totally not like that. After you make the mistake, he will teach you what is the right way to do it.
For Leung, the workshop has given him a sense of purpose after retirement.
Before we worked together, I think he drank a lot. One night we had party, and most of the young followers were drunk. He said, no, I didn't drink any alcohol because he has lesson in the other day. He changed because of this space.
Well, thank you for watching our show. It will be re-aired on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday, as well as online and on mobile apps. Until next time, from the Per Report team, good night, good luck, and good health.